Hello, dear friends. Welcome to this program, Our Moments with God, our moments with the Word of God, our moments with the love, mercy, and compassion of God, our moments also with the holy ones of God, and our moments also when we can tell Jesus, Jesus, I love you, because this is what he is asking Peter today in the Gospel, as we shall see. And in the meantime, I also invite you to look at yourself and see whether you are actually in a position to say to Jesus, I love you. All the people are invited to tell Jesus, I love you, because he is always ready to accept us, etc. And my dear friends, if you like, you may please subscribe to this channel. And I want to thank you all once again for helping me to reach the 10,000 mark of subscribers. Please continue to share videos with others, particularly those who are newly subscribed and are on the channel. Thank you very much. As I said, today the gospel is about Jesus asking Peter, Peter, do you love me more than the others? And Jesus said, Peter says, of course, Jesus, you know that I love you. And Jesus said, feed my sheep. You can see here, I always have some of these sheep around here. So you can see they are there. And Jesus is saying, feed my sheep. But is he actually talking about literally physical sheep? Because Peter was a fisherman, and Jesus has called these fishermen to come and he would make them fishers of men. But remember, Jesus also spoke about he being the good shepherd and how the thief enters by the back door and he only steals the sheep and they do not recognize his voice. And here, of course, what Jesus is meaning is that Jesus had already got his followers, those were his sheep, and Jesus wanted Peter to take care of his sheep. And you know why? Because Peter was feeling guilty because he had denied Jesus 3 times, and therefore Jesus was wanting to assure him of his love and that he was not rejected by Jesus. That's why Jesus asks him 3 times, Peter, do you love me? And he says, Lord, you know that I love you. Then he says, feed my sheep. Excuse me, my dear friends, it is raining and the sheep are here getting wet, but I too am protecting my camera and myself. The weather changes here very fast. But whatever weather it is, and whatever situation we may be in whichever place we may be in, and whatever our state of our being may be, Jesus wants to assure us of his love, but he also wants us to tell him whether we really love him or not. And as you will see today, the church also remembers the feast of Saint Rita of Cassia, a saint who was born in Italy, and because her husband died, she wanted to join an order. But the Augustinian order refused to take her because the order superiors felt that the relatives of her husband who was murdered, they may go and take revenge against the other group, and there would be lack of peace, etc. in the order. So they told him they refused to take her. But she continued her prayer and fasting and contemplation and did lot of work of charity. She also fed the sheep that God had entrusted to her, just like we find also in the first reading where Paul has been brought again before the Sanhedrin, and now King Agrippa is visiting Festus, and Festus is bringing the case before King Agrippa to tell him that Paul is a person who has been accused by Jews, etc. And then the Roman order or Roman custom was that a person cannot be put to judgment without hearing his side. And therefore, Paul was given his own side to present his side. Now, this is also very important for us to practice a practical advice in our life. A lot of time we hear something from somebody and we make judgment against the other without hearing the side of the person against whom accusation is made. And this often happens, particularly in the religious orders, religious houses, but also in families. We go around gossiping against other people without hearing their, and this is terrible because, as you know, Pope Francis often spoke about that gossiping against others is like murdering them, assassinating them, because that is why it is called character assassination. So what we hear from the first reading is how to give people a chance to defend themselves before we accuse them. But above all, the most important thing from today's gospel is Jesus asking Peter and asking you and me, do you love me? Not once, not twice, not thrice. Of course, as you know that Peter had denied Jesus 3 times, so Jesus is assuring him 3 times. But all in all, it is, can we tell Jesus really, Jesus, I love you? I'm sure we can. Despite our weaknesses, our failures and our unworthiness, we can still tell Jesus, we love you, Jesus. And as you can hear, I suppose the raindrops here on the umbrella. I wish you all the very best, and please share the videos with others, ask others to subscribe. As you can see, in all weathers, I present this word of God to you so that it reaches more people. Thank you very much.